Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. And we are bringing this meeting to order. Welcome.
Is there a video, Jean? Oh, there we go. No, is there video of you guys?
Uh-oh, wow. What is going on there?
Our IT technician is working on that right now.
Okay.
I see the camera is not.
Yeah, it's not even pointing towards us.
Versus
There
people.
we go.
Here it is. Woke up.
But it's not.
It's not on, not showing the picture.
I think the light that has gone on in it. Yes, it's moving about now.
Now move back to the regular position.
We're sorry, we're trying to get the camera to work.
Is the lens cap off?
What, Tim?
Is the lens cap off of the camera?
Is the thing off the camera, he's saying.
Oh, is there a cover for the?
Lens cap.
Lens
Yeah.
cap, is there a lens?
Yeah,
cap?
it is off. It is off.
And it's now back towards us,
But it's not
but
showing.
it's not showing us.
Understand that.
Maybe we're in.
Mark,
Yeah,
did you try stopping the camera and starting it again?
okay.
Terrible.
That sounds like something I can do.
Yeah.
That's the advice that I received from a fellow AV specialist.
So I've been talking you through this.
Please work.
So who fixed this?
Yeah. And they called them. Because
I don't think so.
There must be something,
Yeah, right.
but,
The camera's not pointing to us again.
they called and they said, yeah, we switched a couple of lines, you know, when we're doing some upgrades. We switched it.
What's going on?
So I really thought that's what it sounded like. I was hearing somebody else.
So, a couple last spring. It's terrible. They go out their phone. You're driving by North Bell School Road and there's one of these boxes, you know, those just weird.
You go over to
boxes.
camera to the left of that, and you get,
It's a frontier box. And
The video
doors
here?
wide,
yeah.
and there's just wires, just thousands and thousands of wires in there. And there are loose ones there, this and that and everything else. Well, apparently the guy was out there working on it. Decided he had to go to lunch or something.
To me, it's acting like the connection
There, and just like.
is not good.
All of this.
Yeah, Mark, that'd be my guess, because if the video feed were turned off, it would look different. There'd be Kevin Hall be big words across the middle. So given that it's a dark image and the lens cap is off, then it looks like you got a cable unplugged or broken is the next best, most likely. But I am not familiar with the system there.
Jean, do you have your computer with you? Something's happening.
Which the lights have gone off and the lights have now.
Oh, you know, if we log in.
If you
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
be restarting Zoom. I don't think that's what it is, though. It's the camera.
You want us to log in or no?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I mean, earlier Tim asked, is there some other laptop there?
I have a laptop, but. Is that a problem, you think?
Well, no, that maybe we could just use the camera on that laptop to give us some image. I mean, and I'm okay working in the dark, but I guess it'd be nice for the audience in attendance on Zoom to see you guys.
I think the public would like to see who is speaking. So that if you had a laptop working at the table, then whenever someone speaks, you could have the camera on them and that would give the live feed to the audience.
You have to have.
But you have to run Zoom from that computer. And I don't know if that's possible.
So
Mark, use your camera on your computer.
Just pass it along to people.
Do you have a camera on your computer, Mark?
there is one. I can choose.
Well, I think Jean's got one too.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I just come in, so,
the Zoom is running from Mark's computer. So all he would need to do is unplug the camera feed and run the camera on his computer.
Spoken like a true AV aficionado.
Really?
okay,
This
so
isn't
you
letting me
all-
log in.
everyone's getting in and we're gonna see our faces on here.
I have the host will let you in soon,
Yes. So host, can you let us in?
join.
Yeah.
I did that.
Thank you, Bill.
Recording in progress.
So, okay, I'll try.
And if somebody wants to come over and sit near me, they can you guys see me? Am I up there? Oh,
Turn your video on. Your video looks like it's turned off right now.
okay, start.
I can't turn my video on unless I made a co-host, I think. I have you can't start your video because host has stopped it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark has to do that.
Yeah.
And you should turn your computer on.
Okay.
You should turn it on.
Where's the line? Oh, right.
So everybody should be muted.
I
Yeah.
can't put my camera on.
Yeah, you just have to let us put our cameras on.
Do I have to allow that?
Yes, you have to allow that.
Okay. It's allowed.
Okay, I'm there. I see me, I see Michelle, I see Barb. If you two guys move over towards one of us, you could be on our video as well.
Or as Tim suggested, it could just be, aimed at if Ernie wants to speak, just flip one of the laptops to face him or whatever,
There's-
similar with Bruce.
Hey, see,
Okay, we're together.
isn't that cool?
It is, except for I'm on that side, you're on this side.
I know, it's a magical thing. Okay,
And everybody tested on the zoning commission, right? So this is safe.
yes,
Well,
I did. I'm totally safe. Okay, welcome everyone. I'm sorry that it is 7:12. But we are beginning, having overcome various technical horriblenesses. And I'm opening the floor to privilege of the floor. Would anyone like to speak? Seeing none? Okay, we're going on. Tim, do you have any report from the town board?
I am pleased to have no report since last week from the town board.
Thank you. So what we are going to do this evening is I'm very sorry to say that I don't have the minutes. I became ill with shingles, and so my ability to read or write diminished markedly for a few days there. So I have not finished them, but I will finish them soon. And I think when we deliver this to the town board, we could vote at that time on them. So Nan, meanwhile, has made numerous changes that we made last week, sent us copies. Various people read them in great detail. I think we all read them and found, small typographical errors, etc., which have all been made. And Is there anything that we feel that we need to discuss this evening that we have not finished up? Bill?
I have four little things, one being the thing that Michelle pointed out this afternoon. And one being one of the things I pointed out yesterday. Or this morning, and so they're tiny. So three of them are totally tiny. And I think either they can be done on the fly, or I think we can just say that, you know, these just know what Nan to know about.
Right.
So one of them is, as I mentioned, in the industrial use heavy definition, just the numbering was off in the guidelines. It went 1, 2, 2, 4, at least
Okay.
on my copy. So it should be 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, I, IV. So that's one thing. The other, as Michelle pointed out, was the footnote of table 2, which is footnote number 1, refers to Article 8 when it should refer to Article 9, because Article 9 is the one that has the provision for a non-conforming lot to still be subdivided once. And in section 3.3, which describes the map, in the last sentence, it's just a typo. It says shall not to be in the last sentence when it should say shall not be.
Okay,
And then I have one other one that potentially is something to discuss. I don't think so. So we have these new maps, these three component maps, and then they're at the end of the draft zone, the zoning law, which is fine, but they're kind of buried there. And so I'm wondering if it would be appropriate to add some little phrase in section 3.3 when people are looking at the zoning map, indicating there are other maps down there at the bottom of the whole document. And so I am proposing, I guess I move or suggest we discuss adding, where right now it says something like, you know, these water source maps and are included, that we say are included at the end of this law. So Nan may need to pull that up, since that's actually some phrase I'm adding, I don't know. But at any rate, that's just the question to the zoning commission is, do we think it's warranted to have some little note in there to help people find those maps?
I think it's reasonable. Yeah. Nan, do you see where Bill is speaking of?
Yep, I've already added it in.
Wonderful. So, Bill, I think you are making a motion to make these changes.
I am indeed.
Okay,
I'll second it.
and that was Bruce seconding it. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of those changes, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All approved. Okay, with that,
Can I add something?
you may.
I just, since we didn't have minutes to look over, I just want to make, I guess I just want to revisit the wetlands overlay thing just a little tiny bit, and you can tell me if I'm being dense here or not. But during our discussions last week, we talked about kind of this overall sense of whether, you know, this portion of law is designed to, you know, prohibit things, or is it to just make things go through a review process. And so when I went back to the documents that were revised and everything, I was kind of trying to figure out what changed, because I presumed there were going to be, you know, this bunch of stuff that kind of got shoveled off onto Nan to do. And so this kind of comes down to, you know, just my question, I guess, is we still have a under 5.3 point F, 5.3 F, it says, except where allowed by this zoning law and for agriculture and farm operations, no building shall be allowed within the, what in this draft was riparian buffer area, but now it's inner buffer area and outer buffer area. Then it says subject to blah, 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 you know, all other rules in the zoning regulation. right? Is that,
So what do you?
I don't see that in F.
See that in F either. This is F now.
Yeah, Ernie's has to probably look at the newer
in an
draft.
old version then? It's on page
It's gonna be in G, I think, because G is all the riparian buffer stuff. It
Hang
might be
on.
right before G.
I know.
Bill, Bernie is looking at the
Okay, so
January.
here it is, it's right, it's right here,
2023.
it's right here. G1. G.1.
Okay, so
Okay,
G1.
yeah, G.1. Okay,
So except where allowed by this zoning law and for agriculture and farm operations, no building shall be allowed within the inner buffer area or the outer buffer area.
now what version is that?
This is the final draft zoning with edits, right?
This is the March 27th version.
Yes. This is the March 27th version. So Nan,
So I guess what I'd like, I guess, I'm just, is like, is that what we arrived at? Because there was one version of this where it said, it had those exact words, and then it said something to the effect of, or as otherwise allowed in this zoning law. And then I'm like going, okay, so somewhere in the zoning law, some of these things must be allowed. And so, yeah, I don't know,
Okay, I
I'm just
see Bill.
confused, I'm just
well,
absolutely
let's see if
confused.
we can unconfuse ourselves.
Okay,
Bill?
Well, I think it's not so much, it's not just being confused, it's like being clear on what the zoning commission wants. And what I laid out as the two ways to go is not quite how Ernie put it, that it's always mitigation. Yes, in some sections of the water resources overlay, building is prohibited, particularly in the inner riparian, the inner buffer area. So here's how I envision it. That the regulations for wetlands reside at the state and federal level, and this zoning law is not trying to change that picture. The regulations in the flood zone reside in the town's flood control law, flood prevention, what it is, flood damage prevention law. And this zoning law is not trying to change that. But this zoning law is establishing an inner and outer riparian buffer areas. And in addition to going through review, there actually are prohibited, activities in that. There are some things allowed in the outer buffer area and very, very, very minor things in the inner buffer area. So there is some prohibition there, but the same is true about a wetland, right? Stuff is prohibited in a wetland, just that we're not doing it at the local level. You'd have to get a permit, I guess, from the DEC, which yes, you can possibly do. So Nan did bring this up last time. So I appreciate that she had done that to try to make sure we all focused on this issue. For me, it's not just about mitigation. It is saying there are some places like the inner buffer area where it's not about mitigation, it's about protection of the water resource. In the flood area, it's more about mitigation, but that's only something that's only a flood area. If you're a flood area and a wetland and a riparian buffer, you got to pay attention to all those things. So my take on it is different. I agree we have some prohibitions. I personally think that's the correct choice to make, but others on the zoning commission may feel differently. So I think the way it's worded in there is not to say, oh, you have to just go through review. It is to say you go through review, and if you're a wetland, you got to pay attention to the state and feds. And if you're a flood zone, you pay attention to this law. And if you're inner and outer riparian buffer area, you pay attention to these regs in the zoning law. So that's my take on it.
And well, anyone else, that is Bill, Bill's in two places. The other thing I would say is if you go on to page 67, we talked about this list of things that can be done in the inner buffer area.
right. Well, I guess that I was reading to this, if you start at the very first paragraph in section 5.3, it talks about, actions within the riparian buffer area may be subject to ASPR and all this stuff. And so it kind of gives you this idea that, yeah, you might be able to build something, and then you get a little bit further down in there, and then there's just a sentence that says no building, period. And I mean, somehow that just seems contrary to what we had discussed last week, where I thought we were kind of suggesting that, yeah, you might, I mean, at one point we allowed garages and gazebos and porches and all kinds of stuff within there, and that all seemed to have disappeared. So I'm just trying to make sure that we're all, that this actually, you know, that these changes were in line with what people thought they were voting for last week.
Okay, Nan?
And I want to add on one thing real quickly, what Ernie said. Ernie, you're right. There was a phrase that talked about garages. That was in the water resources overlay. So there's a distinction between the inner and outer buffer and the water resources overlay. And you can say they're allowed in the overlay, but still ban them from the buffer. That sentence got dropped because the sentence before it says uses and as allowed in table 1, and appurtenant structures like garages are allowed in table 1. So basically we're saying you can do what's allowed in table 1 plus garages that are allowed in table 1. So it was redundant, and that sentence went away for that reason. But I will shut up for a while, let other people talk.
Still in table 1 somewhere? Is there a table 1?
Yeah, Article 4, the table 1.
Oh, the table 1.
So Barbara,
So I just want to disagree a moment with Ernie that it doesn't say no building is allowed. It says except where allowed by the zoning law
That's
and for agriculture and farm operations.
that's the little phrase.
So that's number 1. So,
Okay.
but just to be clear, it doesn't say no building is allowed.
Right.
It says except for where allowed by the zoning law. And then item 2, right below item 1, goes on to explain what's allowed in the inner buffer area, what the function is and what activities are allowed. And then has a nice little diagram. And then item 3 goes on to explain the outer buffer area, the function and what's allowed in it. So just to be clear, it doesn't say no building is allowed. It says except as allowed by this law.
So that was, so that was what I read, and I said, okay, so it's saying no building is allowed except for what is allowed by this law. And now I'm like going, okay, now where in this law am I gonna find that? You know, so
So
I just, yeah.
Would you
I-
like to?
No, I don't know what I want to do with this. All I can say was I was just totally baffled by this, and I'm going back between different versions. I thought, well, maybe if I read the red line version, I could figure that out, and what changes were made, and you know, and somehow I just find that I don't understand
okay,
the law. I mean, I just.
Bill, are you saying something?
What-
I cited for a second. Yeah. So, and I just, because Ernie also mentioned the need, you know, that you might need ASPI. The way I interpret this is that indeed you can, for one thing, if your house currently exists in the inner or outer riparian buffer area and you want to expand your house, you can do that. But that's going to take abbreviated site plan review. That's one of the reasons it's required. And part of the purpose of that review is to make sure appropriate mitigations take place. But also, if you're building that gazebo, I expect you also will have to make sure you do appropriate mitigations. So it's also not disingenuous to indicate that ASPR is potentially required.
So how do I know that? If I'm the zoning control officer and I'm looking through this stuff and then I find this line that says no building is allowed except for as otherwise allowed in the zoning law.
He's saying, where is it?
Where is it?
I thought that Barb just pointed that out where that was listed,
No, I know,
right
but she
right
had to
below.
go Find it. And
No,
it's,
it's right underneath.
is it right underneath?
Underneath the
Okay,
statement
all
that
right,
you read.
all right.
And
So,
then right above the statement
Okay,
that you
if
read, there's an
everybody-
there's an
okay.
entire paragraph that says like applications, need to provide the plats for ASPR and blah, blah, blah.
Sure. Okay, and so where's the part that says if I have a house that I can put an addition on? I didn't see
That's Article 9.
Article 9.
Would it solve this by adding a reference where it says except where allowed by this zoning law? And then put in like pursuant to and put the numbers of
Yeah.
2A and 2,
Well,
3 and not the non-conforming use section, maybe.
is that where you're gonna find?
Yeah.
that you can put an
Well,
addition?
yeah, because Ernie, by definition, this is my understanding, so someone correct me wrong, that, you got your house 20 feet off the stream because of course, 120 years ago, that's where it was built. Now there's an inner riparian buffer, an inner buffer area where that structure would not be allowed. Therefore, by definition, it's a non-conforming structure.
Right.
So I go to non-conforming stuff, and there it says, even a non-conforming structure can be expanded by up to 25%. So is my understanding of this right?
I think
Boy,
so.
that's a pretty complicated workaround.
Well, I think.
It's not a workaround, it's the way the law works.
Oh, I understand that's how laws work, but I guess that if I was the zoning officer and I wasn't perfectly conversant with this, I would have a hard time figuring that one out.
I think the job of the
Wow.
code enforcement
Yeah,
officer is to be familiar with this law,
Yeah,
Ernie.
all right.
And if
But-
anybody,
But if we can put in, Nan had a suggestion, I'm okay with that.
It's just because it caused me a certain amount of consternation.
Okay,
I
So-
would appreciate it if there was some reference to where you could find the exceptions.
so Nan, your suggestion is that on that page 67, right? That you.
Well,
whatever.
mine is on page 66. It's G1.
Okay,
Yeah,
So I'm suggesting it say, except where allowed by, and I could put this up if you would see it. I don't know if you would see it on your end.
yes,
But,
yes,
we
please
will
put that
see
up.
it.
all right,
Let her share her screen.
She should have it.
Okay,
okay, so
I put on the.
I added that in.
Okay, can you read that, make it bigger?
Oh,
or-
so except where allowed by this zoning law pursuant to, and I can add in section 5.3 G 2 and 3, and that refers to the inner and the outer buffer.
okay,
And Article 9, which is the non-conforming use section,
all right.
and for agriculture and farm operations.
Yes,
Except Nan, under G, items 4, 5, and 6 also talk about this issue.
Oh, okay.
They
So
should-
then maybe it should just be
Just say G.
G,
G.
Right,
G 2
5,
through
G,
6.
okay,
Just below.
Right, we're typing in section G1, so yeah, I guess it should probably say G2 through 6. Perfect.
Yes, G 2 through 6.
okay,
Okay, all right.
good. Ernie is no
I'm-
longer foozled.
I'm happy.
Okay.
Ernie is happy? Excellent. Okay, wonderful. So we have made that change.
And did she also include 9?
Yes, we should did include
Okay,
9.
all right. Yep.
Okay, is there anything else that anyone wants to bring forward from our readings? Let us move that. Ernie moved that.
I'll
Oh,
second
yeah.
it.
Barb seconded it. All in favor of that change for clarity?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, great. So I think the only other thing then to bring up is the resolution, which you have a copy of in front of you.
Oh, right.
And
We need to like read this aloud in some booming stentorian voice.
I believe you do now. Nan, let me make sure I have the right copy.
You want somebody to read it?
Yes, I do, because I have a really hard time.
And
reading.
could
I
you,
mean, do you want me, the only one I have is the one that I had the edits to. I don't have a final version.
Okay, so I will move that the following be presented,
Oh, I
so.
want to make sure that I printed the one that Nan had done, so 1 second. To make sure that I am correct.
I mean, I can put up the one that I edited. It's still got the red lines in it, but I don't know if you changed anything else.
No, I would like it if you did that. Thank you. Because the
Okay.
only thing I changed was the date, because I had March 28th in it.
Okay, hold on, let me,
And I'm not positive that I was having such problems with my printer today that I Wasn't sure I printed the absolutely correct one.
Yeah, this one still says March 28th.
Yeah, so then I think that's not the right one, and this is the right one up here.
Hmm.
So,
This one's not right,
no,
okay.
so,
Would that be bigger?
I'm gonna go
What?
through,
Oh, you're gonna read it?
I gotta read it, if I can write close to it, I can actually do that. So, it says. Zoning Commission of the Town of Caroline, resolution to present final report on zoning to the town board of the town of. Whereas the town board of the town of Caroline, by resolution, created the zoning commission in February 2021, and that is correct, ma'am. To examine existing conditions, recommend the boundaries of the zoning districts and appropriate regulations to be enforced therein. Through a process which encourages and accommodates public input, make a preliminary report, hold public hearings on the preliminary report, and submit a final report to the town board. And whereas the town board appointed members to the commission in March and in July of 2021, and whereas the zoning commission beginning in March 2021 and continuing through March 2023 conducted commission meetings generally bi-monthly, during which interested parties could speak during privilege of the floor and for which minutes and zone recordings were posted. And whereas 6 public information meetings were held between December 2021 and December 2022, in response to 215 questions from the public were written and posted on the town's website over a period of 15 months. And whereas the zoning commission utilized the services of a consulting firm hired by the town board to assist its work. And whereas the zoning commission's consultant were members of the zoning commission formulated the preliminary report to the board and held 2 public meetings, and they were 2, it was set. The preliminary report on February 22nd, 2023 and February 28th, 2023, which has been edited and modified by the commission after hearing the opinions and questions of residents and property owners. And whereas the zoning commission has now determined that the final report to the board, which contains recommendations of the zoning commission related to the draft zoning law and the full text of the proposed zoning law, is ready to be brought to the town board. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning commission has completed its work as of March 27th, 2023. And that it thanks the residents and property owners of the town for their attendance at meetings, questions and comments, and thanks the town board for entrusting the commission to do this work. It particularly thanks Councilman Tim Murray for serving as liaison to the commission, and town supervisor Mark Whitmer for attending the meetings to ensure that they were available for the members of the community. And the commission thanks its consultants Dan Stolzenberg and Rick Lederer Barnes of Community Planning and Environmental Associates. And I had put in a phrase that said, for their expertise and advice. And that the zoning commission recommends the boundaries of the various districts depicted on the draft zoning map and associated regulations to be enforced for each as detailed in the final report. That the final report of the town board for the town of Caroline includes for the town of Caroline includes the full text of the proposed zoning map of the recommended draft zoning, and that the final report to the town board of the town of Caroline prepared by the town of Caroline zoning commission is now approved and shall be presented to the town board of the town of Caroline for their consideration. And then I get rid of that resolution and page 2 there because it's not in the right place anyway. And then we have to vote. We have to say March 27th at the end.
Jean, the last whereas needs to be corrected in spelling and bolded.
Yes, the last whereas, so go further up. Right.
Oh.
And it should be bolder, thank you. And it made all these changes and then. Okay, so with that. That resolution on the floor, would someone like to second that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Barb. Are there any questions or comments or changes that anyone would like to make? Hearing none, I will call.
Okay, I'm gonna come in, so I'm leaving now. I'll be right there, 2 seconds.
Okay. And then we will call the roll. And I'm gonna put my sunglasses on because I look like a movie star with him. And also I can't stand the light anymore. I know.
Wife had something that was diagnosed as shingles like a month or so ago. It's like, oh, it came rash in the arm, you know, I'm going like. How do they know?
They say the vesicles. That's what they said. They say a lot of words. There's a lot of words.
A lot of words with that.
Yeah. Look at those vesicles.
Check out the vesicle.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, so hearing this. I'm going to call the roll. Jim McPeters votes aye. And the next person up there, I can't read, Ernie Bales
Ernie Bales votes aye.
and Michelle Brown
I vote aye.
and Barbara Knuth
Aye.
and Bruce Murray.
Well, I have something to say. I worked as diligently as possible for myself. No way did I come close to the yeoman's job that the rest of the zoning commission members have done. If I take all of the process under consideration, the representation of the town's makeup of the zoning commission, no business owners, no farmers. It took 7+ years and 2 planning boards to come up with the final comprehensive plan. Only 2 years to come up with the zoning laws final draft. I feel this process should be passed on to a totally different zoning commission, gone over again, then given to the town board. I also feel that this draft law is far too large and has way too many overreaching sections. So for that and many more reasons, I vote no on passing this to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you please give me that and I'll put it in the minutes?
I should probably send it to you. 'Cause
You can do that. You could send it to me by email.
I didn't get a chance to go over it correctly.
Okay, just send it to me by email then. Thank you. And Bill Podolka.
I vote aye.
So this passes and is accepted and therefore it is approved. We will be bringing this to the town board. We could bring it to the town board on not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, if you would like that.
April 5th.
April 5th. We'll be bringing it to the town board and I would like very much if we could meet just prior to that meeting at, you know, like you meet at what time? 7? So if we could meet at 6:50, if everyone could possibly attend and we can approve the minutes that will be sent out. Once we hand it in, we will dissolve.
So this is just a meeting to approve the minutes.
The meeting to approve the minutes and I thought you might want to be there when we.
Back to
Pass the minutes.
Champagne. No.
Back in Champaign.
What time is that meeting, please?
6:50 on
6:15?
6:50. Should only take 10 minutes to approve the minutes.
On what's the date?
April 5th.
April 5th. Gene, did I understand correctly that by the by town law process, the zoning commission, dissolves, I guess,
You dissolve when presented to you.
when the board
Accept.
passes a resolution accepting it,
Yes,
is that right? Okay.
yeah, we then dissolve, which I think means we lose a lot of weight. Yeah, which I'm very hopeful for.
So we don't dissolve until the town board.
That's my understanding.
You
from the email.
adopt it by a resolution,
Yeah.
not any state or you adopt it.
Yes, yes, it's you adopting it. So Nan,
You're accepting it, you're not adopting it.
Right,
Yes.
accepting
Right.
receipt of
You've received it, right? You're not
Right.
adopting. Right, let's be clear.
so Nan, I want to express our thanks to you.
Yes, thank you, Nan.
Well, thank you all for your diligence in all respects and patience in going through all of the different versions of this. So I appreciate the confidence you've given in me and I hope whatever it turns out, I hope it all works for the community.
Thank you.
Thank Rick
Thank
also.
you.
Thank you very much.
I
And
will. I'll let them know.
yes, and I also want to express particular gratitude to everyone on the commission who spent so much time going over this in detail, thinking about it, writing up notes. You've been all really quite remarkable, and it's been a pleasure to get to know you. Thank you. Thank you all, and to our IT tech. And to our liaison, thank you very much, Tim. Okay,
Gene?
yes,
And I'd also just like again to repeat my thanks on behalf of the town board to the entire zoning commission, as well as to Nan. This was 2 years of incredible labor. Not only meeting every other week, sometimes weekly, but I hope that the public can also appreciate the hours and hours of labor that that was involved in this behind the scenes to be able to have these meetings. It really, the town just can't thank you enough. It's an incredible amount of labor. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks so much.
I would call for an adjournment. Thank you.
Second.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Favor?
Okay.
We'll see you in a week and a half, and we will pass this in a beautiful format to you guys, okay?
Wonderful.
I'll send everything else out, right now with the final updated version and the resolution.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Nan.
Great.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Nice working, Brown.
You too. Thanks, I need to.